of the sector?
I think that with the trillions of dollars these governments are creating all around the world, the chances, it's almost a cinch that they're going to create lots of bubbles. I don't know where the bubbles are going to arise, but they're being created now. And it seems to me that it's really likely that, almost a slam dunk, one of the bubbles is going to be in the precious metals for all kinds of reasons that you've read about. And a super bubble, because it's such a tiny little, not even a micro cap, a nano cap, used to be a pico cap, section of the market called these exploration stocks is likely to be ignited in these things. They'll be completely irrational and goofy, like they've all been in the past. But I think there's an excellent chance it's going to happen. If I'm correct, now that we've gone through the stealth stage of the bull market, long past, we're at the very tail end of the wall of worry stage now, where the bulls and the bears are fighting, but the bulls are winning. So the next stage is when the bubble is blown up. The mania is ignited. So value's got nothing to do with it. It's irrelevant, totally irrelevant value. It's promotion, it's story, it's that type of thing. And there could be just a huge amount of money that flows into total garbage. It makes no difference if it's total garbage. It's irrelevant. So I think that's a reasonable bet. Now, you know, my ideal speculative portfolio, and I try to keep this in the back of my mind, is to take your money and divide it into 10 equal sections, each of which is in a separate and unrelated investment. That doesn't mean buy 10 different penny mining stocks. It means like maybe buy a piece of real estate in a piece of real estate in Bolivia, maybe buy these penny mining stocks, maybe it means short bonds, maybe that's 3 of them, okay? Now that's the ideal thing, any one of which, 10 different separate unrelated areas, any one of which, in your subjective opinion, that's the important thing, because everything's subjective. I mean, you know, your opinion is not going to be the opinion of a reporter from Time magazine or something like that, his opinion. In your subjective opinion has the probability of going 10 for 1 or something like that over the course of a business cycle, or whatever that may be for that investment. Now, that way, if you're right on just 1 out of the 10 things, you've conserved capital, even if you're wiped out on the other 9. And maybe you'll be right on 2 and kind of right on a couple more and get wiped out on a couple and maybe lose 50% on a couple more. But you're going to do a lot better than 1% or 2% in the bank, which is what most people are doing today. And I think that's a good approach to take, just with that kind of approach. So what's going to happen? Well, I think we're going to have a collapse of the government. A collapse of the government. Now, I look at this 2 ways. I say, hey, that sounds wonderful. The government's our enemy. If they bankrupt themselves, that's absolutely wonderful. And maybe we'll get to live in a libertarian paradise. But then I think, no, that's really not what's going to happen. It's actually, when the government collapses, and it is going to collapse, as you can see, just the interest alone. In a few years, is interest rates inevitably, I don't have time to talk about that, my time's already up, go back to where they have to be. Interest alone is going to go to half of that pie, while everything else is growing. But we're already running $1.5 trillion per year deficit. So it's unsustainable. So the government is going to collapse. Well, what's going to happen then? Well, I gave you the good government collapses, okay, fine, we're all better off, but no, that's not what's going to happen. The French Revolution in 1989 was brought on by a financial collapse of the French government, actually. Did things get better after Louis XVI was kicked out, which was a good thing? No, it got much, much worse. You know, they had Robespierre, and then it got even worse. Then they had Napoleon. So, no, things got worse. How about in Germany in the 1920s after they destroyed the mark? Well, you know what happened then. I mean, you need a guy like Hitler. How about Russia? It was a financial collapse of the Tsar's regime. No, things got worse, and they stayed worse for a long time. The fact is when a government collapses, especially when the government is providing all the things that it's providing in the U.S. today, people want somebody to fix it. They want those things back. So inevitably, you get some moron who says, I can do it, but I need more power. So the government reasserts itself. It reasserts itself. And where does it get the money? Well, it's going to get the money from the people that have it. So I think it's going to be very, very bad. I don't see any way around. Actually, we're already moving into a police state, but it's a police state with a fairly high standard of living today, no question about it. I think the standard of living is going to drop. Financial markets are going to become chaotic, and we're actually going to move into something resembling a dictatorship. I'll bet you money on this. In fact, I am betting money on it. So what can you do about it? Well, there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, you're on an Indian reservation. It's called the United States. The best you can do is learn to speculate, to capitalize on the distortions and misallocations of capital that are inevitably going to be liquidated. This is a trend which it seems to me is absolutely, there's no way of turning it around. I showed you how it could be or should be turned around as quickly as you can, looking at something as gigantic, the biggest thing in the world, the US government budget. But it won't be turned around because it's like a snowball rolling down a hill. How do you stop it? It gets bigger and bigger and bigger until inevitably it smashes into the village at the bottom of the valley, and then you start all over again. But the next step is going to be something resembling a dictatorship. Nothing you can do about it. Nothing you can do about it. You think voting for Rick Perry is going to help? Maybe re-electing Obama? Now forget about it. There's nothing you can do about it. Best thing you can do is capitalize on it the best you can and get out of Dodge.